Alright YouTube, it's time for the Occult video 93 on possession and exorcism, something I figured people would appreciate me talking about. I look back through, I could have sworn I made a video on at least possession before, apparently I hadn't. It was news to me. I could have sworn that I made one. Maybe I took it down at some point when I was drunk or something like that. I honestly don't know. Possession and exorcism is a topic that basically everybody has an opinion about. A person who is strictly secular, they'll say, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. A person who's religious tends to believe that, yes, some sort of negative entity, they may not term it possession, can enter a person's body, or certainly poltergeist can enter a property, or something like that. And these two phenomena, in a way, are akin. The poltergeist enters a property and possesses it. In the terms of demonic possession as normally understood, it enters a person and possesses them. You have the famous story, of course, in the Bible of Legion being cast out. There's the demoniac. He's completely fucked up by a whole horde of demons. Jesus casts them out. They say, oh, Lord, let us go into this herd of pigs instead, because we're scared. We want somewhere to be. And then the pigs, of course, they drive themselves off a cliff into the ocean and drown, which is, I guess, a very strange story. It's even funnier that this specific demoniac is wandering around out in the graveyard and just sort of moaning and doing crazy things, I guess, wrapped in chains, just totally screwed up. One of the best parts of the Bible, honestly. Also one of the least violent, if you really think about it. As far as possession goes, I'll say, if such beings exist, why do you think that they would give a damn about some exorcist trying to cast them out? Wouldn't make any sense. If they exist, why would they need a human body to inhabit? Why not the body of an animal? Why not a tree? Why not something like that? I don't believe in exorcism and possession as is generally held by Catholics or Protestants or by certainly Muslims. If you go to the weird side of YouTube, you'll find a great many videos claiming to be of possession, or of somebody who's got, demons around them, or a real exorcism footage or something like that. 99% of it is complete bunk. It's dramatized, it's viral marketing, or it's something like that. It can be interesting if it's well made. It can certainly be creepy. It's certainly the sort of stuff this time of year, you're getting closer to Halloween, people are watching more of it. But that being said, most of it's not real. There are some weird things on there that are fucked up. It's like with jinn, and I'll say this having spoken to Muslims, secular Muslims, people who basically, they believe in Allah, but they don't really go to the mosque or anything like that, and having spoken with many Christians who are kind of irreligious, they believe in God, but they don't, they're not particularly worshipful, they don't read the Bible and pray every single day, they go to the church on Christmas and Easter, basically. Even these more secular individuals are damn concerned about being possessed by demons. They're terrified of the idea. Almost invariably, they're absolutely terrified of it. My advice to them, of course, is that doesn't happen. Most cases of what we would consider 100 years ago to be demonic acts, possession or something, are now recognized as mundane mental illness. They're treated with some sort of pills or therapy or something like that. I will say, in some cases, maybe exorcism is less harmful to the person, perhaps, than some of the pills that they give people, or locking them away in a nut ward for months at a time. But that being said, it's recognized as an illness of the brain. The fact that it can be treated as an illness of the brain is important to note, generally speaking. I believe in all manner of spiritual phenomena. But the idea that demons would, be interested in inhabiting a human for some purpose is not one of the things that I happen to believe in, nor do I believe, by the way, in the Roman ritual, the practice of exorcism. I do want to obtain a copy of the Roman ritual out of personal interest. For academic purposes, you understand. I would also like to release eventually a critical edition of the Roman ritual or something of that nature. That'd be something certainly down the street as far as my interest is concerned. But that doesn't mean that I believe in these things. I think that the tendency within certain groups within Africa actually is probably closer to an acceptable way to cure demonic possession. That is, in Africa, certain tribes there, if they recognize that somebody is possessed or ill in some way, they'll give them herbal treatments or something of that nature. And some of these are psychoactive, and they could indeed, if the person is suffering from some sort of mental illness or something else, they're just a fucking lunatic, it could help. Certainly more so than chanting over the person in a robe and waving a cross at them and sprinkling them with, basically water. I don't believe in that. I think it's retarded. It's a superstition that's a throwback to the Renaissance and the medieval era, really is what it is. It doesn't accomplish anything. There's no power within that kind of ritualism anyway. Why would you request power? Why wouldn't you act under your own power or command power? Why would you have to request? It just doesn't make any sense to me as somebody who's seen the occult at work. I do not have a tendency to request anything during my rituals. It's a command, it's not a request. That being said, with exorcism, I'd say most self-proclaimed, I can cast out demons individuals are post-Survivor era charlatans, not unlike somebody like Miss Cleo. That includes priests. They after The Exorcist was released, unfortunately, there was a revival in interest in the topic, and the Catholic Church was more than willing to bilk people out of some extra money because they were terrified of this stuff. It was like Jaws when people stopped going into the ocean. With The Exorcist, people started going to church because, oh my goodness, I'm going to be possessed by a Ouija board. Something like that. It just doesn't happen. I've already talked about that. The idea of, Ouija board caused possession, tarot card caused possession, this, old book in Latin caused possession. No, it didn't. You're nuts. You've got a problem. You've got a morbid fixation on these things. I'm not a believer in the topic. As far as demons go, I will say I acknowledge the existence of beings that others would tend to call demons. I do acknowledge that. But I don't necessarily, I can't really bring myself to use that term properly because when you mention demons, most people think of grotesque, sort of ethereal, detached, incubi and succubi. They want to kill you or cause you to sin and go to hell, or they inhabit hell, or something like that. I happen to disagree with that general notion. I see them as pagan forces, not as Christianized entities to be, universally seen as obscene, universally seen as something that's to be condemned, something harmful, something evil. I like to think that's not the case. And if you look even at Christianized occult literature, whether we're talking about like the Mathers era or the Renaissance, certainly you can find many allusions to these various things. Demoniality probably is the best text at explaining this, that the incubi and the succubi that they're talking about are actually higher than man. They are detached and ethereal, but at the same time they're capable of penance and repentance and all these things. Now I don't believe in repentance because I don't believe in original sin, but that sort of tolerance of the existence of the idea of demons without completely condemning them in every possible form is a little bit more fair than saying, my crops died, demons were in my field. My wife left me, she was possessed. I can't get it up, therefore my dick is possessed or something. And that seems to be, unfortunately, among religious communities, of quite a common theme. Anything that goes wrong is the result of Satan and his minions in some way. It's really a burning times mentality that's been crossed over into the prosperity gospel sort of teachings. Joyce Meyer, Charles Stanley, Billy Graham sort of stuff. You give and you get back even more, just send us your money, is paired with, by the way, I can cure you of the demon of not being able to pass a turd after eating too many burritos. Well, that's not even real occultism, honestly. If these beings are capable of existing in the Christian sense at all, then they're not enemies of mankind. They're generally ambivalent towards mankind because they don't quite inhabit the same dimension that we do, and would be potentially more friendly than foe. But that's my thoughts anyway. I think exorcism's a load of nonsense as it is taken by most people. I do think that demoniality prescribes a methodology based on the humors that would be more likely to be successful if we're considering them to be less than Abrahamic creatures, which is simply the burning of incense or use of implements contrary to their humors. Now, the idea of the humors, of course, has fallen out of fashion. But perhaps on some other level, who knows? But at the same time, anyone who's watched enough so-called possession videos on YouTube knows most of the time it's acting. Poor acting, or it's someone who's mentally ill, or it's somebody who's doing some sort of weird fetish stuff. I saw one video of an Arabic video, supposedly of a jinn inside a person, and the person's belly was rolling all around, and it was obvious that it was some sort of weird sexual fetish that I was seeing, and that somebody simply uploaded it as though it had something to do with demonic possession. It was very strange, it was kind of disgusting, but did it depict demons? No. Quite clearly it did not. It was some clickbait that they created as propaganda to try to get people, I guess, to embrace Allah or something like that. That's about all. Peace out.